Finally,
Oh,
it
yeah.
turned on, and then okay, I'm here, and it is working fine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
likely the battery's busy dying, and also if it's behaving erratically, likely you've got a virus. So run that antivirus scan again.
Yes, I did.
Oh, we did. Okay. See if you can download malware bytes.
Okay,
All one word.
okay. So, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy. Did you see the link? Did you see the video? The thing that I sent?
Oh, no, the your question was really interesting for me. I said, okay. Uh,
What was interesting for you?
Hello, Donna.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Good
I'll be right back.
morning.
Ah, brilliant. 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 Ah, this is magical. Hello, Donna. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, what's this? Beena just joined. Like, just came on. Like, literally a minute ago. It's like, I thought, oh, did she drop off and come right back? So, no, it was Donna. How are you, Donna? Did you sleep well?
Yes, so pretty good, yeah. You?
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yes, yes, sort of. They were stomping around upstairs in the middle of the night for God knows what reasons, but I don't know. I don't understand what they do in the middle of the night. It's amazing. But anyway, I still slept okay though. Strange, strange, but true.
Hello, Beena.
How are you?
Good.
Good,
You're so
good to be.
soft, Donna.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to hear you, Donna.
Oh.
Mm. We had the loud. I can't be too loud. Because I don't want to wake them up, or make a noise. I don't know how much they can hear me or not. So I have to be careful. What you been
Okay,
thinking
so
about?
I'm here, but it is very unreliable. But, because I cannot say that my laptop will work or not. So be aware that if I dropped off and then come back, there is something.
All right. So, Beena, we were gonna do intense, right?
Yes.
And I thought this is
And
really
before
exciting.
that,
Hmm?
I have to share a news with you.
Oh, listening.
Yeah, the computer zone cancelled my order
Oh, why?
because I called them and I asked them, okay, when you will deliver this. And he says, we cannot see anything. I said, but why? He says, because today is the first day. I said, okay, now this is the first working day. So deliver today. He says, no, I cannot tell you anything because when the riders will come,
Oh,
and it was 12 in noon, and when the riders will come, and what is your area? I said, okay, Shrita Millat. He says, okay, then I will ask riders. Then they will tell me that okay when they will do or not today or not. I said, what? Still no? Yes, he says so. And I said, okay, approximately it's the guess that how many days it will take. This is 2 to 3 days more.
and then?
And then I said, okay, I don't like this. The first thing is when I select something else and the link is going to something else. Remember about
Mm,
this keyboard? He
yeah,
says, oh, yes, it happens sometimes. I said, come on, I cannot trust you now.
yeah.
I said, okay. So if you guys can do it today and the things I have ordered, if you have it the same thing, then okay. And take it. Otherwise, I don't want that. And then I just got a mail that says, okay, your order has been cancelled.
Oh,
That's it.
it's a bit sloppy business.
Yes.
Well, there
The
are other
first thing,
places. There
they
are
were
other.
changing the links.
Yeah, not too terribly, but well.
But why?
Well, it's not that much changing the links. It's just poor programming. Just sloppy. That's all.
So you can say, okay, next time and I will get something, and they will say, oh, this is the link. See, you have ordered this, but I was trying to order something else. How can I trust
Well,
them?
from the link, but on the order it says the thing that you ordered. And if you don't get that,
Because sometimes it happens.
well, there's other stores, so we can look at that. So no
I'm saying
worries.
that
Yeah.
it depends on availability.
Ah, all right. Well,
What it means by availability.
Really?
Okay.
That's not Riley polite.
what's Riley doing, Donna? Ah, so intent, Beena. What did you have in mind to do with the intents? Donna was keen on the intent thing also. So if I understand right, anyway.
Okay. I think hmm, now I need everything together. My laptop was.
Well, I'll do some research in a moment, and I'll just look up. There were other two other big computer stores in Karachi, so you can check them out. Maybe just redo the whole order. Donna, you there?
I'm here.
All right. So intent, Beena. What did you have in mind with intent? I don't know. My head's a bit vacant this morning. Maybe I
I'm
didn't sleep
confused.
enough.
That's why. What?
I said maybe I didn't sleep enough because my head's a bit vacant this morning.
Oh,
Can't think of any intents. I don't know what to do something with the intent. So
leave it for a while. Leave it for a while because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
also a bit confused.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. What about you, Donna? Maybe we'll get started some way. Donna?
Really? Just really wanted to more listen in on what you were gonna be doing this
Uh,
morning.
oh, no, we're hopeless. All right, we'll have to get started. We can't be so hopeless. So just in terms of major intent, yes, I mean for me that intent is to learn and grow, uh, and but also to apply. It was always that intent for me to apply. Um, to be able to use it to be what you want to be, it must result in application. So that's kind of a huge big overall intent, that's ongoing always, um, that application to be. But then I suppose if I look at that a little bit more carefully, I was just thinking about this, that I set a huge intent when I was a kid to know people, you know um, and I wonder sometimes about that, knowing people, if one doesn't take on moods and energies from people, because to know them is to feel them. If you feel people, you know them. So I've been thinking about that lately. So yes, I want to know people, but I want to have the choice to feel them, not just feel them automatically.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah, yeah. That's important intent. So that's a big
Do you
update
still
for me.
feel that few people?
Say again? I do sometimes inadvertently feel people, yeah. So I'm cautious about that, and I get affected by people's feelings, and this is a big intent. I don't want to be affected by people's feelings, but I am, and I don't know. I set that intent in a big way, and I still get that sometimes. So I guess it may be, that it's partial. It's part of the intent of knowing people. So um, I do feel one can know somebody without feeling them altogether, or not taking in the feelings, feeling it, like if you feel something with your hand, you feel it over there, you don't feel it inside yourself, so that's the way to feel people. You perceive the feeling, you don't necessarily feel it and experience it on the inside. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Different type of feeling. Same with the world. You want to feel the world out there, and then let in what you want from that, what you perceive out there, and then you selectively let in what you want and don't want. Donna, does that make sense? Mm.
So you want to choose that deliberately, uh,
Yes, yes.
not with the attunement. Okay, whatever I'm feeling, okay, there must be more than one feeling, and okay, whatever I'm attuned with, okay, I'm getting. No?
Right, right. Well, it's you want to be attuned with everything, pretty much. But what you let in, what you align with, this is a separate thing. So yes, you're attuned to all the ways, but you don't catch them all. See, you choose which ones you catch and which ones you ride. So yeah,
It's a big deal.
yeah, yeah. It's a very big deal. So, deliberate choice of what you feel. This is very important. But you need to perceive what you feel before you can take it in. You see, which is there's a nuance to it. Like I said, when you feel something with your hand, if I'm feeling my hand here, it's different to when I'm just feeling how this hand feels from the inside. You see, so there's feeling that's external, which is kind of a perception feeling, and then there's internal feeling, which is an experience feeling. All different. So I want to feel people, uh, and feel emotions, feel energies, but out there to see what they are, and then as perception, not as experience, and then choose what I wish to experience. Just to be nuanced on this point. Yeah,
Wow.
does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense, of course, and it is possible also. But
Sure. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, if you look at, uh, you can observe people laughing, but not necessarily laugh with them. You can observe people crying, and you can see what it is, but you don't need to take it in. So that's the same logic. I want to have that ability in everything, not to be inadvertently, automatically just feel what people feel. So
mm,
yeah,
so okay, for this, yeah, for me, to understand this, to get this, I need to understand, step by step, make it obvious for myself that how we connect to people first. Okay, because if I know uh, how we connect to other person, then I can tweak it a little bit of it, and I
right,
can take deliberate action in that. So how we connect first? When we see someone, the first one is visual and energy.
right,
Visually we see someone, okay, and and we feel that energy. For energy understanding or awareness, we don't need uh, physical existence in the same proximity. We don't need that. Digitally, we can feel. Still, we feel that energy. So, okay. So, energy and the visual and the audio. Okay. And the fourth thing is awareness. Awareness is our mind calculates that with the body language, with the words, with tones, with selection of words, of course, and facial expression, and all these things. Our mind calculate that from where this person is coming from. So, okay, and which emotions and feelings are involved. It is a calculation which our minds do automatically do that. Okay, and we have association with that. If a person's voice tone is in this pitch, in this way, okay, it is something happening. So this is a calculation which actually happened very quickly. Sometimes we are not aware of. So this is another thing. And, and the other thing is intent. That if a person really wants to communicate what he or she is feeling, no matter what she is saying, but the intent is does she or he really wants to communicate and what they want to communicate? What is the intent?
right.
So we connect with the intent also.
Yes, it's very
If we
essential to
want to,
connect to the intent. Yeah,
if a person wants to communicate something, we get it. Our mind get it like really good. And sometimes they don't want. The intent is no matter how what they are trying to do or saying, but the intent is there. We can get it right.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. And what other type of connection? Audio, visual, energy, um, and all these senses, what that and everything.
Sorry, you
Okay.
faded out a little bit on the end there.
I was just thinking and self-talk like, okay, what else could be? So the other thing is, okay, your spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Spiritual connection is very subtle, and it is not something like, okay, oh, it's so glittery, sparkling, scintillating, you can see that. No, for me, it is very subtle. You gradually understand that what is happening. It is not something that click in one just one time. I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So that communication is very subtle and slow. Okay. How we get influenced by or affected by other people's feeling because of association.
And recognition, familiarity, exposure, just absorption. You know, I guess you can feel stuff that you don't know. So
Because
it starts to.
mostly what we do is when a person is sharing something. Just suppose that it is something painful or they are in grief, okay, and they are sharing their story, and we how we feel, start feeling that how we make connection with their feelings and get affected by their feelings is that we connect and we associate those that story with our own story or experience, which is painful and grief, and then we start feeling that. So because otherwise I don't get any other clue how we get that, those feelings. I think that it is because of association management, and we do have some association involved in our mind, like I have in our mind that grief is something. What is grief in my life? Then my mind, my subconscious will start recalling that, and then I can get into that mode. When it is in okay, yes, for me it is association management.
Yeah. I do think we're able to feel stuff that we haven't experienced before. We might not
Yeah.
immediately recognize it, but we have that capability. So it's not only about what we recognize.
Okay. So, what about feelings which we have never experienced before,
Oh,
or
it'll
we
just
don't
be
have
unfamiliar.
experiences
That's
with?
all.
Okay, yes. Okay, now.
It'll just be different.
Okay,
You
like
have to figure
like
it out.
like like for a man, it is impossible to have motherly feeling. Hmm?
Not necessarily.
Hmm?
I don't necessarily feel that way.
I'm just trying to understand that
Yeah.
what could be the completely new feeling for anyone.
Uh, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that you can feel what somebody else feels, even though it's not possible for you to necessarily, have that experience physically. But the feeling, I don't know. Uh, I don't see why you can't take on that feeling.
Then okay, if no obvious logical reasons, then it comes to energy.
Yeah, yeah, it's just an
And let's
energy
get energy.
absorption, energy,
Yeah, oh yes, okay.
participation. So
The
yeah,
only option left is energy.
yeah,
I was trying to figure it out logically. Oh, because my mind just makes an association, then I start getting into okay. Uh, Now, when it comes to energy, this is something is still a bit mystery for me because I don't know how to explain this. It's really weird because whatever I have experienced at that time was really, really something weird. Uh, I tried my best, but still I cannot explain what was happening at that time, and I was a bit puzzled, not scared, but I was puzzled by that experience. So, energy. Nah. Okay. What do you think
Right,
about energy connection?
right. Say again. Well, that's
What
the
do you
thing, when we connect with energy, it's pretty much everything is up for grabs. You can experience anything, pretty much. So, uh,
but but do you have any experience when you deliberately did something?
what do you mean?
When you deliberately connected to someone's energy?
Uh, well, I try not to, but yeah, you can. You feel what they feel to at least to some degree. So, yeah. Uh, to me, the issue is not feeling them; it's not feeling them.
Because for me, it is first to understand that how it happened. Then you can
uh,
figure it out. For me, that's why I'm going into
Well,
deep.
you just kind of open up to it, and then or you are open to it, whether you want to be or not. And then it just, I guess, the energy just communes, it just connects, and then they intermingle, and then it's like, I don't know, I guess a data stream. You open up a port,
Okay.
and then you have it incoming, outgoing, and you feel what
Uh,
they feel what you
I,
feel. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah.
for me, I think I have shared with you before, and Donna too, that it is not only about feeling for me. I actually pull experiences from other people. Like I don't have any problem uh, in my life about anything. Just something. Okay, assume anything. But when a person start sharing, and I feel connection with them, and I said, oh yes, okay, it is something, and I'm just doing that. Those experiences instantly start manifesting in my life.
uh, when you feel them, the experiences start to manifest in your life. Really?
Yeah, yeah, because I never had any situation before that, and suddenly things just start happening, and I was like, "Wow, what is this? Why I am having all these things?" So okay, it happens sometimes.
Beena,
So
what does it take for things to manifest in your life? What
sorry.
exactly happens with you to
Okay,
manifest things in your life?
Mm.
okay. Um, uh, it is a bit embarrassing, but okay. With you guys, I can share. You know that I have never been in any kind of relationship before. Yeah, and I never feel anything for anyone. So it was a bit no negative feeling attached to that, but I never experienced that. So that it is something like, okay, not for me. I was not getting it. Okay, though people approached me, but I never feel any connection to, and I never feel interested in. But when I go to the arts council, and okay, things were happening, I was not feeling any connection, so nothing happened. But when I went to arts council, and I got friends with so many girls there, and when they start, and their conversation, you can say that 90% is about the clothes and going out, eating out, and relationships, and the adventures of relationships, and okay, the problems of relationships.
And
Oh, my
these are fairly
boyfriend gave me.
wild girls, Donna, from what I've understood. Naughty girls.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the conversation was mostly about all these things, and I was like, really, like they don't have anything to talk about. Yes, they are doing jobs, and they are struggling in their career, but everything is focused on relationships. And because even if they're shopping, if they're doing shopping, okay, oh, I want to wear this, and I want to buy this, and I want to do this. What for? Okay, because okay, my boyfriend likes this color, my fiance likes this color, and I want to impress him, and I want to do this, and I will go out with him wearing
Everything's
this.
external. It's all externally focused
and
on
and
everybody.
not oh yes, of course, external, Donna, but also just focused on one thing. Huh? And I was actually I don't know how to say that, but I was gathered by all these things. All the girls were same, almost everyone. They have, and some of them were not in relationship, but they had some breakups, and then okay, they are looking for. So the situation was same for everyone. And okay, I was like, I was keen to. I had to confess that I have to, because I was really curious that okay, how these girls have their whole life just revolving, moving around this issue only, and how they have this energy, this much energy. First thing was, well, for me, the curiosity was that how they have so much energy that they can speak whole night, they can talk whole night, and then still manage to come on job on time and do everything, and still manage to go out, and they are fresh, and they have time to go for shopping and watching movies and to going to concerts, and they are also studying and doing well in their exams. This was like for me, they were all superwoman.
Interesting.
And I was so impressed by them because I don't have that much energy. I cannot do all these things, and they are super focused and they're so sharp, so witty. They're like, oh, someone is just passing by, they can pass a comment. They have instant replies to that, and they are still manage to do their work. But when I'm working, I cannot even respond to what Mama is saying. I have to ask her again what you're saying because I'm so focused on that. So, so the curiosity was a huge deal for me. But what happened? I was listening because they don't have anything else to talk about. So they were sharing, they were asking, and all these things. And suddenly, in my life, people, okay, they were my friends, but suddenly I start having different kind of people in my life and who approached me in a different way. And okay, I got three proposals, not only online, but in my life here in Pakistan also. And three were, of course, marriage proposals, but other was like, okay, they were interested in me. They were like, and this time it was different because yes, people approached me in my past also, but that was a different thing. But this time it was all about, okay, Beena, I want to be with you. Okay, let's. Why don't you just come and go and have dinner? And I was like, really? I manifest all these things in my life because it was something really strange for me. It never happened. But
Interesting.
because I was feeling so much connected to, I had a curiosity to know how these girls were managing all these things. Those experiences in which I was never interested in, still I'm not interested in. I have to say that.
Curiosity.
But my curiosity started manifesting that. And not only that, but also I never had anything like, oh, mama is doing, my mother is doing all this stuff, and okay, and still she's complaining about all these things, and okay, I don't care about. And who can listen to mama all the time? Who can do whatever she's saying? These type of conversation I was listening. In my family it was not like that, but I start feeling that, oh, it was kind of like, okay, feeding in my mind. And I said, okay, oh, I have to do all these things, and mama still wants me to do all these stuff. Okay, why I do have to do? And suddenly mama's behavior also changed. So this thing I never ever experienced before.
Mm,
So I was not only manifesting different people in my life, I start manifesting those experiences because okay, I was interested in, okay, these girls are going out having good time with their friends, so why not me? Okay, I can go out and watch movies, and okay, if I like to, and okay, going out and have good food and all these things. to experience that, how they manage. My intent was to actually explore that. But when things start happening, I realized that this is something that for me, I'm not interested in. I don't like this. I'm not feeling comfortable with. It is taking too much time and energy. And I was like, really? But I was puzzled. So these experiences actually manifest in my life. Not only behaviors, because from behaviors I can say that, oh, because I was thinking, so I was reacting and responding in that way. So these things. But people, actual people manifest in my life.
But the question is how. So it sounds like it's related to interest and curiosity, attention.
Not only interest and curiosity, but because of interest and curiosity, I made connection to those girls
And attention.
energetically with energy. I made connection.
Mm.
Because I was so open to them. That, oh my God, I have curiosity. I was interested in it because it was exciting. That way, how they manage that? I was puzzled in the beginning that how they actually manage that. But how a person can be on maximum energy level all the time in everything. I was like, wow, they have time to get dress up and do makeup and okay, and still maintain their makeup 24/7, like for 8, 13, 14 hours at Arts Council. Still they're laughing, still they're singing and continuously listening to song and responding to every other boy and girl and everything. And they're going out and okay, and chilling and doing work. And they know how to respond. If I'm working, I really don't know how to respond to someone. I'm like, okay, let me have time so that when I can communicate what you are saying. But they are so sharp. I'm so impressed by them. Yes, I was, and I was like, oh, they are superwomen. So that excitement, that curiosity, made me open to them.
And did you figure out how come they seem to have so much energy? Was it just
No,
obvious?
no. When I shared with you, you said that Beena, mostly it's a bluff, exaggeration.
Yeah.
I was not getting it. I was still wondering about how they manage all these things.
Well, because you aren't going by direct observation, you were going about what they say, and
Yeah.
those girls are, the Donna, they would like put their text on their phones, the text, make it really
Oh,
small,
yes.
and
Yes.
dim the light so nobody could see the text. So these are girls that are up to stuff, and then they're like
I,
invited the
I'm really amazed at how sharp their eyesight is, how they can see all these things. Okay, I don't have bad eyesight, but still, with it's so dim light and so small font, how they manage to read their text. Really, you got super eyes.
Yeah. Well, again, you kind of train your eyes, you get a little bit used to it. But you might do it where you have to really hold the phone in the exact right spot and stuff like that. So, but again,
Oh,
if you're setting it to that thing, this implies that you're not on the up and up with things. So
so okay, I will. They're not bad people, Donna. It seems like okay, what I'm sharing, it seems like oh, they are all they're good heart people, but okay, they're caring and they're loving, and they are very okay, positive in attitude also. Okay.
yeah,
But yes, they have
well,
different
still they're
personalities.
just free, just
Oh,
while these
and
girls,
they have,
because look, they invited Danielle, the other the Arts Council Lothario. If you see a picture of him, you'll see what I mean. So these girls invited him to a dinner. So you have a picture of him for Donna?
um, I don't have his picture, but yes, on if in his status
You
I can
showed me
see.
one. You showed me one.
Yeah, but it is from his WhatsApp status, not
Uh,
directly. I have in my laptop now.
I'll just share then. Yeah, so screen
Let
share.
me see.
For
But
me,
anyway,
it
it just
for me it sounds like for manifesting. This is just for me. It sounds as though um, immersion plays into it. In that I I'm hearing you say that you went to a job and you had people around you and their lifestyle and what
Mhm.
they chose to focus on was different than
Yes.
what you have in the past. And it was intriguing to you to
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
experience that. Well, for me, every single human being is energy.
Yes.
So it isn't necessarily their lifestyle creates their energy, but it feels like what they focus on and what they put their attention on will naturally bring about thoughts. And thoughts are intense. If you think them enough and there's enough focused attention on
Yeah.
a thought, it becomes an intent. And then the intent will manifest in your life. And the key for me is if we're all energy, and I am not a master at reading others' energy or feeling others' energy or protecting my own, that is where I feel it would be beneficial for me to be able to do that. I can be around other energies and still choose to maintain what I want to focus my thoughts on. For example, like taking way of impeccability. This is my intent, taking the way of impeccability and incorporating it into my physical reality. And part of that is to master energy management, to understand how to deliberately feel other people's energy, because if I can feel it, then I know what their intents are, and to be able to not absorb that energy and still maintain my own energy, and to be able to take the way of impeccability process and tools and the ways of being that in the physical world. And what I'm very cautious about is, since I was so judging in the past, like with these girls, if I experience an energy that is different and indifferent, it creates uncomfortable. And if it's uncomfortable, I might naturally judge that it's not good or it's not feeling good to be. And it may not be that, it just may be new. And so I have to sort through and say, well, how does this new actually feel? And for me, sometimes I have to experience the new energy for a while. I have to see what that situation brings. I have to experience it with the words and with the physicalness of it and with the energiness of it and with the emotional part being there, and then sit back and sort of sort through the energy part of it. So for me, this sounds very common. I mean, that's what you're describing to a certain degree is very common for me, to be in a workplace and have people focused on what they do and what they wear and what they say on other individuals. That is not uncommon for me to be in that experience. So that energy for me, if you put me in that arts council, I think I would experience that energy much differently than you. I could be totally wrong. I have no idea. This is just what came up when you were talking,
Interesting, yeah.
and this
Mhm.
is just what I was feeling.
So just try to imagine, Donna, what your perception will be in that.
What my perception would be,
Yeah.
I would feel as though, because I have been in it, that was like that was something I could relate to, because my energy and my focus when I was younger and in work situations and when I was single would not have been all that different, other than when I'm at work, and I wouldn't have been the person that would have the small text messages, and I wouldn't have done some of that kind of, I don't know. To me, that
Mhm.
feels like sneaky energy kind of thing. I wasn't quite there, but it was a natural progression for you to, after high school, go to college. And in the college scene, you partied and dated and did all this wild stuff. It was not uncommon in my world to experience that energy. And then when out of college, go into a workforce. And if you were single, your emphasis, your attention, your focus, your intent was on dating and finding that
Right,
husband,
right.
So everything you shared,
Standard.
the implied intent and the deliberate intent would have been focused in that manner, and therefore the energy would have been there and the intent would have been there. Now for them, as far as energy management, why they have so much energy, there's no conflict for them. They're
Mm-hmm.
feeling no conflict with that. It just feels very natural. I think where sometimes for me, where my energy is drained is when I feel internal conflict, where my misbeliefs are not being attuned with, kind of where I am now, when that old energy sort of sneaks in. So I
Uh,
don't know.
okay.
And when you single focused like that, also you don't have energy drains with other stuff. Very singularly focused. Yeah.
Okay, Donna, just to make the obvious that my basic curiosity was based on uh, that why I don't feel these type of things, because they are
Right.
so focused on all these things. I'm not saying it is bad and it is wrong, but my curiosity was that okay, also my own part that okay, I don't know to say that it is fortunate or unfortunate, but it is what it is. That I do have a lot of people who try to approach me, but I didn't get it because I was not in that mental phase ever. So my curiosity was also about that, why I don't feel that, and why they are so much into that.
Mm.
Like they're 24/7. Someone, okay, it was not a one person, almost everyone there. They are so focused on that, all these things. Okay, this is the guy, if you can see on my screen. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
this is the guy. He is my immediate boss, and he's the person who actually let me in at Arts Council, and he is very, very caring for me, and very. I can say that he protects me in so many ways
Mm.
there. And his name is Daniel Umar, and he's second to president at Arts Council. And he is the guy, the most controversial guy at Arts Council, and he is the most famous. Even if someone don't know the president of Arts Council, he or she must know Tanya Aluma. He is the most controversial, and you cannot even count how many affairs you can listen about him, and how many controversies about him, and every girl, almost every girl I saw, that they talk bad about him when he's not around, but when he come, everybody on her toes, like wow. Okay.
They try and charm him. They try and charm him. And this is
Yeah.
the one that they invited to a dinner, the four
Yes.
girls, right?
Okay. And for me, I don't know why, but okay, we communicate, and he makes sure that okay, Beena, your work is done, just go immediately. He never let me wait deliberately for a single minute at Arts Council,
It's sweet
because
how
I
they protect
because
you,
I said to him that
right,
okay,
Donna?
I call him brother, so I said okay, Dan bhai, I don't want to stay. I just okay, my work is done, I want to go. So he makes sure that okay, I will have pick and drop on time, and he actually reminds me, Beena, your work is done. You're getting late. Go. So he is like that. So how can I say that this person is someone bad? Okay, he's not for
Oh
me.
no,
For
it's
me,
not bad. It's just
for me, his energy is so protecting and so comfortable. We never had any issue, and we discussed a lot of things. I actually argue with him. No, I'm not going to do this, and he was like, Beena, I said, okay, trust me, I'm doing this, and he said, okay, go ahead, do this. But if you just ask about him, he is the most controversial guy at Arts Council. Like you can find hundreds of affairs and countless girlfriends.
but see, it protects you because you're innocent, Tina, and you're pure and you're different, you know.
So,
So
it's about energy and intent, as you said. That it's all about energy and intent. And okay, even even people asked me that, oh, you're his friend. They were like saying that in a very mysterious way. And I said, yes, I am his friend, his Facebook friend also, and he invites me here, and he's doing all these things. And they were rolling their eyes and all that. I don't know. Oh, what's wrong with that? Same with okay, Sil is how
Sorry.
can I forget that what he's doing for you also, like Donna, what you who you are for me. Okay, if someone is rolling eyes, why I would care, but people have different association. Anyway, so my curiosity was for myself that why I don't feel that, why I don't like someone
I
in that particular way, and my curiosity, and I start manifesting people in my life.
So did you ever go when they asked you out? Did you ever go out on any dates with them?
No,
Brilliant,
how
brilliant.
can I? I don't have time for all these things, and I.
I think for me, sort of where I'm at, Beena,
Mhm,
is I was in my old story part of probably I would have been part of that group,
mhm,
but not in entirety. Like
yeah,
there's probably would have been group behaviors that I wouldn't have done,
mhm,
but I very much had a focus of finding a husband in
mhm,
college and
yes,
understand and had those feelings. They were energy directed by who was in my world. And where I am now, I am in this story, I am still involved with 3 grown children,
mhm,
which, for example, on the weekend, some energy things came up that were uniquely challenging, and 3 grandchildren
mhm,
and single.
yeah,
And so I want to be able to take the way of impeccability and incorporate it into my physical reality with
mhm,
those relationships and other people that I know. And
mhm,
since I've done Way of Impeccability and since I've been doing work on myself, my associations with people have changed. Now, my perspective on that is we have some type of consciousness, we have a level of awareness, and that consciousness expands when our awareness expands, and that physically does something. This is just my perspective, I could be totally wrong, but that expansion physically does something to our energy and our vibrations that we emit. We may not be able to see them or be aware of it, but it literally physically changes my body, and it changes my energy, and it changes my vibration. And those people whose focus is external don't have perhaps, and I don't mean to sound hierarchy, but it's just true. This is my perspective on this. I don't, they have a different vibe. It's like a radio wave almost, like,
Absolutely.
different notes of music have a different, wave to them. I don't always have the right words, but I'm doing
Yeah.
the best that I can.
Oh, no, that's
And,
good.
and so, like, when I'm operating at, I believe it's 528 is the hertz for
Oh,
love. And if
wow.
I'm vibrating at feelings of love and compassion and coming at something from that vibration, I'm literally from an energy level emitting that from my body. And if somebody else is coming from 322, they're not going to vibe with me. They're not going to relate
Yeah.
to where I'm at, and they're going to fall out of my life. I mean, they literally, we more than likely will not connect. And for some, when the vibration is consistently different, um, it feels uncomfortable. It feels like you're trying to like relate and having a relationship with a person, and you just can't. You're like, what are you thinking, and what are you talking about? And it's just, there's just, and you don't know it's on an energy level. It's not really the person for me in this perspective. It's not even the person or their actions. It's the actions create the vibe, and the vibe is different than the other person's vibe, and you can call it energy. And then because it's different, they don't operate with the same filter, with the same lens, with the same feelings inside, with the same perspectives. And so if you take a world perspective, they'll say, well, that person's just way different than me. I don't have anything in common with them. But really what it is that person has a different level of awareness and consciousness, which then creates physical changes, which then creates vibrational changes, which then creates energy changes, and we're not operating at the same level of consciousness. That's the perspective that I have. And the thoughts that you have and the focus and intent that you give things impacts that consciousness and impacts your vibes and impacts the frequency that you're putting out there. So you kind of attract the frequency that you're, kind of putting out there into the world. So that's my perspective, and I'm sticking to it. So where I am on it is I don't know very many people in my reality. I'm not aware of very many people, just maybe a handful, that have done a lot of work internally. And I am convinced, I feel very strongly, that you can take a high level of consciousness. This is what I think we're doing. And I've said this before to Sil. I'm not sure if you've ever heard it, Beena. And Sil, you can share if you remember this conversation or not. Sometimes you don't remember them. But it's like taking that different level of consciousness and incorporating it into your physical body in a way that it can be maintained. And it's I don't know, it's like taking energy or light and infusing it into a physical body. And maybe in the past that the way our body was set up, it couldn't handle it on a consistent basis, or we didn't know how to do it, or we weren't capable, or I don't know, but I feel as though that's what we're doing. We're taking that. So for me, that equates to taking the way of impeccability and this new awareness and this new level of consciousness and this new filter in the way I view the world, and making it a practicality of physical life where there doesn't have to be such a divide between the two. Now, what are the two? There really isn't a divide. There isn't a divide. And those aren't the right words. I take that back. I can do better. It's not a divide of the two, it's more of a union of one than a divide of two. Yeah. And that's part of the perspective shift that I have to make, because that's my old thought. And immediately when I said it, my gut got really tight. No.
Like that union of one, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a union of one. And so, Sil, you say a lot of times that we can come and join Zoom, and there's no expectations and no obligations, which is a good psychology approach, because people will come with that. So that's, from a psychological standpoint, that's very effective. However, sometimes I feel as though what I hear when we don't come, and this is probably my perspective and my internal complex, so I'll say that right up front, but when you say, well, Ryan didn't show up Sunday, I think to myself, what happened to no expectations and no obligations? Right?
But this is when he's specifically said he's going to come. There's a difference when it's open-ended. But when you make an appointment, now you're saying you're going to come, I'm sitting there waiting for you.
I'm just offering an example. And I'm just saying that's just my perspective and where I feel a little bit of conflict.
But I'm just making a distinction between
I know
people coming anytime, like on an open Friday where it's free to come, or when you make an arrangement to come, then there are, an expectation and an obligation when you make an appointment and a commitment. Yeah.
Okay, and also for me, like, okay, if I'm expecting that, okay, Donna will be here or other people will be here on this time, and if especially Donna, your case is different for me because when you don't come, we miss you, and this is what we are trying to. Okay, there is no expectation, but we are sharing. We share our feelings that okay, we were missing you. It's not up to you that okay, you have to take it the burden of okay, oh, they are missing me, so I have to go. No, we are just sharing our concern. We are sharing our love, and we are sharing our feelings with you. There's no obligation on that involved in that.
No, I know. I
But,
wasn't able to finish my point.
ah,
It doesn't relate to Ryan. It doesn't relate to Ryan not
right,
showing up
right,
on the system.
right.
It really doesn't.
Ah,
My point relates to the difference between the commitment, like you're talking about, when you've said there are some people that want to utilize way of impeccability as a way of a lifestyle, and they're committed to it and they show up and it is a way of being. And then there's others that will come in and do the course and they'll extrapolate what they need and then they'll go back out. And those are two different, if I heard you, if my takeaway was, appropriate, those are two different types of people with two different intents.
mm,
And what I'm trying to say is I'm sort of in between, where I feel as though you and Beena are very connected to this. And you talk about it every day and you spend a great deal of time, and that feels good, and it feels like a choice, a deliberate choice that you make, which goes back to intent, which goes back to energy. And for me, I'm literally taking time off of work this morning. I should be at work.
wow,
So I told him I'd be in at 10 o'clock because that's how important this was to me. I didn't sleep all that well.
wow, wow. I'm
And
listening.
I think, just one second. I think the difference is being able to take the way of impeccability and incorporate it into your day-to-day life.
Mm,
It was my intent. And can that happen? Maybe it's a situation that can or can't. I don't know. But I still operate in a job. I still have grown children. I still have grandchildren. And so I feel as though for me, part of what I'm here to do is to the best of my ability, do exactly that, which doesn't mean that I shift out of my Richard Myers job right now, which means I bring this into that environment the best that I can. And I still maintain my energy and my situation. And so that feels different than I feel you and Beena are at. And sometimes I feel as though um, when I share, I want it to be from love, and I want it to provide perspective, and I want it to be able to be used by everyone. And the intent is to be real.
yeah.
In whatever the situation is, and just present it and then pull the abstract from it so that we all benefit, because that's collaboration.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, and I'm not saying it has anything to do with energy other people are pushing out, but all I can do is take, like I did last night, I tried the best that I could to say it's not necessarily I'm saying you're doing this or you're doing that. This is how I'm feeling right
Yeah,
now in this
yeah,
situation. And this is the energy that I'm pulling out of this. And this is how it's feeling to me, which was a really good exercise because it doesn't come from you very often, that energy. So
yeah.
it really took me aback. Like Rick's energy or Jake's energy or, you know, people at work, you're sort of used to, and you can almost look at them and know instantly, okay, this is where their state of mind is right now, and this is where their energy is going to be, and this is how it's going to hit me. And I'm learning how to almost shield and like just be able to listen to it without taking it on, and I can still have feelings about it and I still can be empathetic, but I
Right,
don't have to become it. And
right.
with yours last night, because I feel like you're always have been so upbeat and so good energy and so moreness, that the way you were last night was so different and so heavy. It was like, whoa. And it just really hit me in a way that was like, where is this coming from? So it was a really good experience from that point of view. And sometimes when I share within the group, and I've shared this before, and this is just how I feel on my end, no right, wrong, or indifferent. Sometimes when I share, I feel as though there's a little bit of judging of energy. Like, it's like sometimes I feel like if my energy isn't coming from love, if I'm not at 528 and I'm like in a bubble or just like operating at a lower energy vibe, that it's
Mm.
perceived as like negative energy. And the last thing I want to do is push out negative energy on people.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that, Donna. So I don't know. I can't really say that I've noticed anybody perceiving your energy as negative. Mm. But
It
yeah,
doesn't even really matter,
right.
honestly.
Okay.
It,
Just saying. I'm just saying. I haven't noticed that. So I definitely
yeah.
haven't. So yeah, sober, serious, yes. But low energy, yes. But we go up and down in energy. But negative, no. I've never noticed you be negative or anybody perceive you as negative either. No, no, the opposite. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm really amazed that last night, like I said, for me, I just felt normal, usual. I don't really feel any different. It was at the end of the day and a little tired.
Well, when I through my filter, you look different, you sounded different, your demeanor was different.
Uh,
Everything about you is different. Seriously.
that's it. I'm gonna have Beena watch it and see what she says. You know, I just said, see what you see in me. Just I left it very open. I didn't cue it to say see anything specifically. Just observation. So.
Yeah.
I'm very curious because I looked at it and I couldn't see anything really.
Well, and if you perceive energy, like you spent maybe 3 seconds with Paige, and maybe you and Beena have some superpowers that I don't understand, and maybe in that 3 seconds you can pick up things, and I'm not doubting.
Hmm.
It's just in the real world, how the hell do you know anything in 3 seconds about a person, right? That's the real world.
Well, I realize that, but this is a skill that I've really practiced, worked on all my life.
Well, I understand that you have a skill, and I understand that you've worked on it your whole life. But what I'm saying is, if you're not in your world your whole life, and if you don't see it, the person on the other side that's been in the world is going to perhaps have a reaction that's an old world association of, how can you pick up so much in 3 seconds, you know? I mean, I'm just sharing with you.
Yeah, yeah, no, I
Like,
know,
how
but
do you
but
do
you
that?
but
And
but
then
you
when you
you do it
don't,
too.
I know that, but
Mm.
then when you don't have like specific, oh yeah, he does it by blah 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 blah. that if you had a process and you had a specific thing that you said, well, really I'm a wizard, or really I'm from the planet Glacia or
Yeah.
something, whatever. I'm a wizard, and you had specific things that you could be like, oh yeah, that's Sil. He's from planet such and such, and he can get
Ah,
your.
Donna. No, but for me, this is going about it kind of from the opposite end. So
I,
yeah, because it doesn't matter what skills or where you're from or whatever you have. What matters is what's communicated. So so
no, that's not what I'm saying though. I'm
uh,
just saying if a person is in that old world bubble,
uh,
it would help if no,
uh,
it's not necessarily that it would help. It just like in that second of, well, how can you tell in 3 seconds? It allows your brain to make the transition until you get out of the bubble and be aware of, oh yeah, okay,
right,
I did
right.
that same thing, and we don't really know what it is, and I don't have words, but in that moment it's like,
I
and I
understand.
don't want my kids to come into way of impeccability and within 3 seconds that felt as though there was like, I don't know,
Yeah.
it
All
just
right. Let
didn't
me
feel
let, let me
comfortable.
let me come at this from a whole different angle. So first of all, there's no judging involved. It was a fleeting perception, and I was making great effort to share it as a perception which may or may not have validity, right? So it may or may not have validity. Secondly, just those perceptions, we don't lock into them. They don't define things. They're open. They're simply a perception. And then thirdly, when you go on this, it doesn't matter the validity. The fact that it's mentioned to you from an attunement point of view, an anomalous point of view, whether it's invalid or not, it makes no difference whatsoever. Doesn't matter the legitimacy of it. The fact that it's simply mentioned to you is something to say, oh, wow, that's interesting. It's anomalous. So it's from the other perspective, it's a perspective which is, oh, information. And if it's anomalous, well, therefore pay attention to it. So that's it. That's what I was trying to say. It was anomalous, and okay, when
I
it's a small
understand
thing, it
that.
might not be nothing. It might
I
be nothing.
agree. And that's exactly what I got to after I got away from your energy. It
Interesting.
switched into that. But when
Ah,
I was
brilliant, brilliant.
looking at you, and when you were talking and you were so casual and you were just sitting back eating and making this, I mean, it was a pretty big perception, like, oh, there might be something going on with your daughter. It's like,
Well, yeah,
okay, the
but
fact.
again, when it's I was making an effort to say that what the something may be could be. I don't know what do you think something meant. I didn't know what something means, and I said it could just be the normal, stresses of life, or it could be something more serious where just unhappy or bothered by something, struggling with something. So I didn't specify, so the something, it's a wide range. So I have to be casual about it, and that's what I was explaining too. The casualness was because I don't want to give attention to this. So I'm deliberately being casual so that I'm not putting attention, and then it makes it into something. You see? So,
The
um,
psychology of how you went about it to bring awareness to something within me that I had to look at was brilliant.
oh, sorry. Okay. So I'm saying sorry, but thank you. I mean, I was really trying hard to make an effort to bring an awareness to
And
something
you did,
without
because
putting
that
it.
was my whole point. After I got away from your
Oh,
energy and the bubble, I was able to instantly be like, okay, that was his perspective. It's one.
yeah,
And just because, it's a perspective and it's fleeting, don't put so much credence into
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It could be 100% accurate. It could be 100% off. He's just offering a perspective.
Right, right.
And sometimes if they're within a situation that there's attunement and discernment, you do step back and look at the perspective. But even in that, you just look at it and then you apply how you feel. So I got all that. I just
Oh,
couldn't get it when your energy was
mm,
so different and it was coming at me. It's exactly what we're talking about.
yeah,
It was a perfect illustration of
yeah,
exactly what we're talking about. How do you on a daily basis deal with energies of people without being immersed in them? How do
Yes.
you deal with
Yes. Yes.
perspectives
Yeah.
without taking them on as your own and
Yeah.
being the end all be all? Well, so-and-so said this, so it must be right kinds of situations. And I am able to do that fairly well, and that's what I'm working on. What took me aback was it was so contrary. Your energy last night was so contrary to what your energy is normally from my filter.
So I think there's the problem, that I'm too normal. I need to vary things up a bit more.
Oh, you're not normal. There's nothing about you that's normal.
Well,
No,
I mean, like you said, I
no,
What is weird
no.
about him? What is weird about him? Huh?
oh,
Am I
don't start
missing
the long list.
something?
Don't start
Am
the
I
long
missing
list. Yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah. Be honest, like, well,
Um,
pretty much everything.
No.
No, no. It depends on the context that you put that in. Not
Ah,
everything.
okay.
I just mean, from an energy standpoint, his
Hmm.
energy is like almost always coming from 528 hertz and above, way above.
But last
So
night,
when
apparently, I was different. I can't see it, but well, we're gonna have to watch the video,
I
Beena.
didn't say you were different.
Yeah.
What have I been
Oh,
saying
oh,
all
oh,
along?
oh.
What have I been saying all along? See, you when I flip it on you, you're like,
I know.
oh
I
wait,
thought you
I
saying
was
my energy was
no.
different last night.
I said my energy, your energy perceived by me and my
Ah.
filters was very different last night. And I was very careful and deliberate in my word choice. It
Mm,
doesn't mean your energy was different.
uh,
It just means that the way I perceived it and
gotcha.
the way
Okay.
it hit me
Okay. Gotcha.
last night through my
Fascinating.
filters
Mhm.
was extremely different.
Wow, that really intrigues me, Donna. Um, and I was wondering about this. I have noticed something that in the evenings the energy communications are different. The vibe and the feel is different to the mornings. I was thinking about this before last night. I
Well, it
noticed it
makes
before.
sense. I mean, when you wake up, it's a brand new day. You're starting with
Right.
a new like battery of energy,
Yeah.
and your intentions haven't been,
Right.
mishmashed with all kinds of interactions with other energies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
It's pure energy. It's more
Yeah.
vibrant
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating to me. So, before we started speaking, what were you thinking and feeling?
Um, Let me think.
Well, it was on
Gosh,
that
that's
the loop. It was the loop thing, because that's what you chatted. You messaged it to me on Facebook and in Messenger, and then I said, "Oh,
well,
yeah,
the whole weekend was like all three of my children right now are in drama. And
mm,
so um, I'm being placed in situations similar to Beena with their work situations. It's intriguing to me that certain situations with all three of my children, I don't relate to. I can't comprehend where they're coming from anymore. And it's a unique challenge.
that is interesting, Donna."
Because it's like, so anyway, so they have stuff going on and you're observing it and you're in a new role of friend. And like I said to Paige, she had this situation, a lot of really great situations actually at work is what I was inferring
Mm.
to. She has a boss like Dave Timmons, sounds very similar, and I'm
Oh,
really excited for her and a lot of great things happening.
oh,
But she
good.
also has an extreme amount of pressure and tension to produce, and it's very, sales oriented and just the business
Ah,
world, the way
yeah,
it can be and
yeah, the,
managing it so that she's not working 12 hours a day and things like that.
mm,
So when she was talking to me, I was just listening, and they, as people, they experienced a version, an aspect of me for so long that when that aspect isn't present, they're like, where are you? When are you going to come in and fix this? Kind of thing.
interesting.
I think subconsciously. So I shared with Paige, for example, that um, she like said, well, what do you think? And I said, there's different ways to look at it. And, how are you feeling? And I kind of flipped it back on her because I'm so conscious of not wanting to fix anymore. Right. So
yeah.
then she was like, well, no, I want your perspective. So I recognized and became aware I'm probably overbending a little bit on offering perspectives with my 3 kids because I'm super sensitive to not wanting to fix anymore and not wanting to control. So like with anything in my situations with bringing way of impeccability into the real world, there seems to be an overbending and then I find my balance. So Paige and I had this conversation and I shared that with her. I was just really honest and said, I'm not that same person and I perceive the world much differently. And I even perceive my role with you much differently. You're 24 years old, you're a young lady, you have your own place in your own life in Chicago, and our relationship has shifted. So I kind of need your help when you see that I'm not offering a perspective and you're really wanting different perspectives. Like if you could just say that, I'm just wanting, to bounce some perspectives off you. And what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? And I felt like that will help me because rather than just saying nothing and listening, it's not providing what she wanted and needed in that moment too. So it has to do with hearing with a capital H and applying, and it has to do with association. It had to do with diplomacy. There's so many things that just were incorporated in that one conversation. And I walked away thinking, this is what I feel like is my purpose. This is what I feel like the end goal of the way impeccability is, to reach a level of consciousness and incorporate it in everyday life and do it the best that you can. And it never ends. You're like doing it every day. And every day you're coming up with new scenarios and new things to try out and new things that you're growing and expanding. And that was just one example of that. So the whole weekend had a lot of that, but it also had a lot of very obvious shifts that came about naturally too in how the interactions with people worked. So it was a mixed bag.
Yeah.
That's all.
Donna, I very, very, very definitively and clearly can say you are living and applying wave impeccability. It's not a future thing. It's a now
No, I
thing.
am.
Oh.
I am. But I think with the future thing, I don't know, and this could be a misbelief, but I just think globally, I just think on a universal basis that how that applying the way of impeccability and that level of consciousness in the real world is shifting. So that let's say that you're operating on, we'll just use numbers as an example, and I'll try the best that I can. I'm going to practice this. So at least I want to come at 528 from love, the frequency of love. And let's say I can achieve raising my frequency and keeping my joy in place and keeping my just inner peace and harmony flowing and my connection to my higher source all the time. And let's say that I'm at least at 528 and sometimes I'm floating at 928 as far as like a consciousness level, right? But I'm still here in this physical body. Like 928 in the past would have been a celestial being that's close to God's frequency. And instead of that, I'm able to still be in a physical body and go to work and have family members and have a marriage and still balance that 928 instead of being immersed into the world of frequencies that are 328 and it brings down my 928. I can maintain my 928 no matter what. And I'm doing it in a physical body and I'm operating every day and having these interactions and And even people that have different intents and they have different energies and frequencies and different objectives in life, and they're operating lower, it doesn't matter. We all still can, like, we all can, like, have interactions, but then we have those that are our, like, inner sanctuary people that we, like, vibrate at the same frequency, so that there's comfort and you feel like you're at home with those people, but you're bringing that way of being into the physical world, where I think, I don't know, I just feel like that hasn't necessarily universally in the physical world maybe been accomplished very effectively. Like, the people that are operating at a higher frequency didn't necessarily connect with their tribe, or didn't necessarily know how to maintain that high level of consciousness within a physical environment. I don't know. That's just always been a knowing that I've had, or a strong feeling that part of why I connected with you and Beena is that you're the 928s that are just divine beings, and just so much light and so much love. And that for me, I have the potential to offer that here and still be in a physical body doing it on a day-to-day basis. But the only way I could do that is to have that impeccability, like we talked about. Like, what if you found out you had a superpower and you were really able to manifest, and you were very strong in your intents, and inadvertently or deliberately your intents weren't necessarily of the highest integrity, or they weren't very kind or nice. It's not like you would give the ability for somebody to build a nuclear bomb whose thoughts were focused on war. I mean, you just wouldn't do it. So the foundation has to be very strong. I don't know. That's all I got to say on that.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. That's important. Very interesting. I'm keen to do the Mona stuff with you, just to go into the details of it. Just because, to me, you are way of impeccability. You live way of impeccability. But just to go into that will consolidate it and confirm it, and lock it down for you. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean, Donna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the reality is there, but there's that, the feeling of it for oneself. So how you feel it, it's a different thing. It's very interesting how perception doesn't always match reality, right?
Right.
Very interesting.
Well, last night was a perfect example. I mean, you've articulated very strongly, like, where you were coming from. So again, it was just an awareness of where I was. I don't want to loop. I don't want to do this loop thing anymore. And that's what, we were talking about was prior to, is this loop that you can perceive and get stuck in.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me. So much to think about here. I don't know, really, like, wow, really thinking deeply on all this. Very interesting. Don't know. It's in terms of, I'm saying that, yeah, how do we address this? Essentially, the difference um between what we perceive and what is there. How do we trust our perceptions? Hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, perceptions and perspectives are entirely different too. So
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Perspectives, okay, they're just perspectives, but perceptions, we'd like to think that there's some bit of reality involved in the perceptions. So, hmm, that's problematic. So I guess we need some external way, like, okay, if you have one perception and you merge it with another, and then they correspond, some way like in computers where they check things. Hmm.
well, there was a whole conversation I had with my youngest about that and delusions. What creates a delusional person?
Hmm. When they believe their perceptions, and their perceptions aren't accurate. Now, who's to say what accurate perceptions are?
Who is to say?
Exactly. Uh, I think at the end of the day, does it really matter? Isn't it what you feel? It's what value we get out of it, how well it's working for us. And, do our perceptions cause us trouble? I think this is where we can look into it, because if you have perceptions, and you see this in the BMNs and stuff, they have lots of perceptions which are just flat out inaccurate, and they're willing to believe those. And this is a problem. And but then they don't pay attention when reality comes and gives them a smack and say, look, this is not matching up to your delusional perception, and they just ignore this. I was just talking to this with Sue yesterday to say, when I was writing the book, at first-hand opportunity to observe, or at least in recent memory of be a man, and they would have this kind of like smile, charm, Mister Charming, and but they were like the child inside, really. But again, they would go and meet people in business and all this, and be this the typical charm and hello, and everybody knows, well, they all had this perception that, oh yeah, just another bullshitter. So but the person themselves, to be men, they didn't realize it. They just thought everybody was buying all what they were selling, but then they wouldn't get the levels of friendliness and responses back, and people wouldn't, yes, they would sort of tolerate them, or they do business, but it was never a smooth easy thing. They kind of had to grind away at it. So what they were received as, basically people just indulged them and tolerated them, because at least they did the service, and they were reasonably competent, more or less. And they were in a situation where they needed the service, um, but they didn't look at the reality that they weren't on the top of the list, and the people even said to them, "You're not on the top of our preferred vendor list," and stuff like this. So they never put two and two together, that what they're pushing out, people are, they thought everybody's buying what they're pushing out, but if you look at it from externally, you saw it wasn't so. But they didn't match the reality to their perception. So when it comes to delusion, I think this is the deal. You got to look at that, what actually happens, rather than what you believe happens. So it's tricky business, perception verification, very tricky business. Yeah.
Her illustration was somebody who believes something, and then in that belief, things manifested to prove the belief.
Oh no, there wasn't really manifestation. This is just purely just in terms of the
Oh,
interactions.
no, no, no. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
oh,
In Paige's story,
ah,
this
oh,
person believed so strongly in their belief that it literally manifested things that would support their belief, even though it wasn't reality. And that was really intriguing to me.
Wow. Yeah.
But along with that, there was other things that were just totally black and white that contradicted what they said. But they weren't able to, even if they were shown, well, look, here's a text message, for example, and you specifically had said, blah, blah, blah. They were able to take that and create a different meaning to it. So whose meaning was right? The person that sent the text, did they know their meaning? Or the person reading the text and they applied their meaning to what that person was saying? Perspectives.
Yeah, it's difficult. So in a case like that, for me, I try to look at pattern. Because one incident, okay, you can interpret this way, but if you're regularly interpreting it in a way, and there's a consistent pattern, then you can say, well, okay, now it's a little bit different, So, and then you look for external verification, and you look at the behavior, the actual actions. Do they support the what's being said, or what's being meant? So, in the end of the day, it's the behavior that matters. Like I was saying, in the case with the BMN that I was talking about. People, they treated them friendly enough, because they kind of indulged them. But their behaviors, of the vendors, because I'm talking about specifically when he went to, like places where he was signing up as a vendor, So they would favor other vendors before them, but yet, he thinks he's schmoozing them and cheating them, and he treats them as if his best friend, or he's their best friend, and they would just kind of play along more or less with it. And he didn't see that there's this discrepancy that, basically he thinks he's pulling one over them, but they were just indulging him, and they weren't bullshitting him back, but he didn't see that they were just being polite and courteous, but he didn't pay attention to the actual actions, where he didn't get all that much out of it, a little bit here and there, but he wasn't their number one, top of the vendor list. And the one woman even said, no, you're not my number one, you're not going to be either. Which is kind of a rude awakening for them. So it's pretty interesting, So I'm just saying, when we look at things a little bit like this, then things change when you look at the actuality of what results, not what you believe. And then it's kind of different. And that's what I'm looking at in terms of intent, I want to get to that point where I'm looking at things in saying, okay, what am I experiencing, and what is my intents, involved with this. So
My question is, do other people's intents commingle with your own intents? And in what ways, Because like you and, oh, look, Sue's here.
brilliant. Hello, Sue.
Hi.
Hello. Yes. Beena, you here still?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Brilliant. Wow, look at this. Look at you.
Yes. You're looking all fancy pants, Sue. You're looking all fancy pants. Very pretty. Very beautiful.
I am
Very
oh my God, I went out for a run and cold shower and I am dripping. I'm dripping.
Wow. Wow. You went for a run, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. So how far did you run? I'm most intrigued and impressed that you went for a run. That's
It's only 2 miles. I used to be a marathoner, but
wow,
yeah,
2 miles. Sure, but
yeah, with the dog, I had to go earlier. He would not be able to do it at all.
Wow.
But he has those little legs to begin with, and he